Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to answer the question, what are the lies your prospect believes? David, you told me just before we went live that this isn't saying that everybody's a liar.
I was like, what are you doing?
We just believe lies.
Yeah, I'm like, so you're already starting off this episode saying that I'm calling people liars. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a good episode apparently because
we can only go up from here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like already being accused of things, and I haven't even hit the start button yet. So, man,
no, this sounds like it's going to be a pretty I guess a psychological topic, right, to deal with of what beliefs that lead to, and you've covered this in previous episodes of beliefs that lead to actions, right?
Right. Well, this ultimately is kind of what I'm driving after on this episode is that, look, the lifeblood of every business is sales, right? If you don't have customers, you don't have a business.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, we can get all the other stuff in place, but until you actually have customers coming in and paying you for your product or service,
yeah,
this is just a hobby. It's not a business. And so, and how do you make sales? Well, making sales is the process of convincing someone to buy. It's the process of like someone who looks at what you're offering and they look at it. So, you know what? Yes, I want to do this. I want to be part of this. And anytime, especially if people are coaches or course creators or trainers, that sales process is going to involve overcoming objections. So there's going to be, look, we all go in and for whatever thing we're going to purchase, we're going to go, I don't know. Should I do this or should I not do that? Well, a lot of that has to do with, does this, you have thoughts going around in your head. You go, right. I don't know if this is the right decision for me, or, is it too much money, or there's all these different things going on inside of you. And what a poor salesperson will do, a person who is not good at sales, is they'll try to convince people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they'll try and find ways to either manipulate a little bit or to maybe fudge a little on the truth, and really overemphasize something that's good that maybe you're making it sound, that's sounding that you're making it
or even try to deflect things that are obviously not good. And
right. And exactly, that's what poor salespeople do is they try and do things to try and kind of convince you, to manipulate things, to kind of stack the deck a little overly high in the favor of what's good and what's out there. And that is not a good way to do it, because ultimately, if the person says yes and starts working with you, eventually they're going to figure out, that wasn't really true, was it?
Right.
Like, you told me it was this, or you led me to believe it was this, and it's really not that good. It's more like this.
Yeah.
And so you're starting off, especially if it's a coaching relationship, you're starting off in a less than stellar way. I mean, you're starting off where the relationship is a little like, trust is not at 100%.
Right.
Because they are already a little suspicious of you. They're looking at you going, I don't know that you're a completely honest person, because you were kind of stretching. You may not have lied, but you kind of stretched the truth on a few things. You're kind of, bending the rules a little bit to try and paint yourself as a little better than what you actually are.
Yeah.
So, and that's where salesmanship gets a bad rap, right? It's people look at it and go, oh, salesmen are, sleazy, they're unethical. And the sad part of it is there are those out there that are like that.
Right.
There are people out there 100%. And that's where sales gets a bad reputation, is because people look at that and say, look, that's not, those are not good people. Well,
right.
Here's the truth, is that the best salespeople aren't manipulative at all.
Yeah.
The best salespeople do not lie. The best salespeople do not, they don't twist things. They don't manipulate things. They don't say things that aren't true.
Right.
Because, we've all been in a situation where we bought something and it was a significant purchase, and we just spent a good sum of money on something, and we walked out of there excited.
Right.
Going, wow, that was great. I'm so excited about this. and you just gave them thousands of dollars.
Right.
And they're going, well, I'm excited too. Like, I got a bunch of money. But the point of it is that you didn't feel sold. You didn't feel manipulated.
Right.
And the reason is that a good salesperson recognizes that you don't need to manipulate people. You don't need to control people. You don't need to kind of, shield them, put up a wall in front of all the negative things, and then shine an extra bright light on the good things to try and distort the view of what they're looking at. No, your job as a good salesperson is to be an educator.
Yeah.
Because what you have to realize is if you're, let's just say you have knee pain, like you have one, like your left knee is hurting and it's been like a problem, and you got to do something with it, but you don't know what's wrong. You just know, man, my left knee hurts. Like something is not right. I don't know what it is, but something's not right. And you don't know, do I just need like some therapy work, some physical therapy, or I go and do a lot of stretching, do I need surgery? Do I just need to ice it? I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know what's wrong. And so what you have to do is you have to go to someone who will educate you on what the situation is with your knee. Well, and from there, then what your buying decision is, because ultimately, even if it's through insurance, you're still making a buying decision. If the doctor looks at it and says, yeah, you tore ligaments in your knee, or, or no, this just needs some physical therapy, and through some stretching and some physical therapy work, it'll be fine. He's educating you, and you have to trust the doctor that he's giving you accurate information, that he's giving you the truth. And so when you have people that come to you for your coaching, for your training, whatever it may be, and they're coming to you and they're like, I'm not getting what I want in life. Okay, there's a goal that they have. There's something that they want in life, and they're not getting it. And as a result of that, I know that there's lies inside of them that they're believing. And you might say, well, how can you, that sounds a little arrogant. How can I know that this prospect is believing lies? Well, if they weren't believing lies, they would have had the result already. That ultimately is how you know. Is because if there's something about their situation, something about them, that they believe something that's untrue, or they believe something incorrectly, so that they're getting the wrong result. They may believe, well, that would never work. That's a scam. That can't happen. And you're like, actually, that's exactly what you have to do. Or I don't want to do that. I don't think that's the right thing. And why do you believe that? Well, because of this, this, and this. Well, those reasons are why you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to do. Yeah. I've had moments, and Chris, I'm sure you have as well, where I sat down with somebody like over dinner, like I used to, when I was a part of the Todd Brown Mastermind, I would sit down and, we would have, and some of the most valuable times we had were dinner. Yeah. And you think we're bringing in all these high level speakers, these highly successful business people, and they're teaching us things and they're showing us things, and we're having all these meetings all day. And yet so many times the most valuable time spent was dinner. Yeah. Because then I'm sitting across from somebody else that's in the group up here. Right. And they're asking me how things are going. And I'm telling them what I'm doing and where I'm struggling. And all of a sudden they say, hey, have you thought about this? And I went, what? What are you talking about? And they go, have you tried doing it this way? I go, no, I never thought about that. You see, I had never thought that going this direction was a solution. I never believed that was a path that I should pursue. And as a result, I didn't take the action necessary to get the result. But now I'm going to go take those steps. And all of a sudden, bam, I'm getting the result. Yeah. So I know for a fact that if I'm talking to somebody, and for example, I want to build a coaching business. Okay, great. That's fantastic. That's a wonderful thing to do. It's a highly valuable profession to be in. You're going to go out and change people's lives, make a huge difference for them. But if they're not getting any success, I know there's something that because I know you can build a successful coaching business. So if they're not building it, I know that they're not doing something correctly. If they're not doing something correctly, it's because they have the wrong strategy. If they have the wrong strategy, it's because they believe the wrong thing. If you believe the right thing, you would develop the right strategy, which would lead you to take the right actions, which would get you the result. Because success is possible. 100% success is possible, but it's all inside of you. It's all this stuff. So we have to educate them. A good salesperson will help you. He'll educate you.
And don't you think in this regard, I mean, so I think about it from the standpoint of sometimes it's that belief issue, right? Is just to kind of clarify this for people, I guess, as I'm listening to you, David, is just how some people they think that, for instance, a belief, right, is if I just put together a website, clients are going to come to me, right? Like I don't have to do anything else, right? Or they don't want to develop a strategy. They don't want to do something, because I've shared this before, but and I actually saw this woman yesterday who is still in the same place essentially as she was months ago when I first sat down with her. She didn't she was asking for some help about how do you put together a coaching business plan, and everything I said, I got done with walking her through this process, and she goes, "Yeah, I don't like that."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I don't really care if you like it. It's what you have to do in order to accomplish, your goal." And then I tried to reframe it, kind of repackage basically the same information in a different way that maybe was a little bit simpler, that maybe I'm thinking, well, maybe this will resonate with her. But all these months later, she still hasn't done anything, but there's something in her belief system, right? As somebody who wants to be, an inspirational speaker and coach in our local community area, she's believing that she doesn't have to do all this stuff in order to have success. She just thinks that, well, I have a good message, or I can help people. And that's probably true. I don't doubt. And I don't doubt her content necessarily, but I feel like I bring that up because I don't think she's alone in this. I think that she's probably being a little more stubborn than a lot of people are who are more coachable, but many people kind of at least start here and then have to learn, the hard way sometimes, that there are other things that I have to do if I'm going to be successful, rather than just have a message, put together a program, put together a product or whatever. Right.
Right. And I think that's important for everyone who's listening to do a self-evaluation as well. So, and again, we all have goals. We all have things that we would like to achieve in our lives, whatever, and it's different for each one of us. But we all have a goal. We all have something that we would like to do. And so you have to ask yourself, okay, am I achieving that goal right now? And if the answer is no, okay, why? Okay. So again, it's like, if I want to build this business and I want to have this success and have this going, I first have to ask myself, is it even possible? I mean, and I have to look, all I have to do is for like building a coaching business, for example, all I have to do is look around me and go, do I know if other people in the world have built a successful coaching business? That's a pretty easy yes, right? I mean, do I know if other people in the world have built a successful course business? That's a pretty easy yes too. I know there's plenty of people out there who are making a living selling courses.
Right.
Do I know if there are people out there who have been successful being corporate trainers and doing executive coaching and leadership training and things like that? Yeah, there's no question. So I can answer that first part of that saying, I know for a fact it is possible.
Right.
I'm not trying to do something that's unachievable, like grow feathers on my arms or something. Well, but that has to be your first. So
right. Is it? Yes. I understand.
So we have to set that in our mind, because too often I think people get discouraged and they start going, well, I can't do it. Well, wait a minute. Is that true? You can't do it? Or maybe just, or it's not possible. It's not possible for this to work. You sure? Have other people done it? Well, yeah. So it is possible. But up to this point, you haven't put all the right pieces in place in the right sequence
Mm-hmm.
to do all the right things to be successful. Okay. That's not condemning you. That's not saying there's something wrong with you. That's merely saying you haven't done all the steps correctly yet to get to that point. So then your question needs to become, what am I doing wrong? Where do I need to get better? And sometimes it's not a matter of the step itself is wrong. Sometimes it's a matter of how you're doing that step. Like, for example, you may be doing like, I'm going to go out and generate discovery calls with potential coaching clients, for example, and I'm going to go out and schedule calls with them, and yet none of them ever want to buy. Okay. So you're doing the right steps. You're going out and finding people who might be interested in working with you. You're getting on a discovery call with them to see if you can have a conversation with them, but none of them are saying yes. So where do you think possibly something's not being done correctly?
It's in the presentation on the call.
On that discovery call. Something, the way that you're doing that discovery call is not getting you the results. You're doing well in the other areas. You're generating some interest. You're getting people to get on a call. Okay, you're doing well in those two steps. But then when they get on the call, something about how you're presenting your services, something about how you're sharing the benefit, sharing how you can help them make their lives better, how you can get them the solution that they want, something in there isn't clicking correctly. So rather than just say, I can't do it, it won't work, it can't happen, it's impossible, maybe, see, these all become lies that you believe. These all become the things that get in your head and say, it's not possible, I can't do it. Instead, what we have to be able to do is take a little bit of humility and just say, okay, I don't know the right way to do it yet.
Right.
But I can learn. I'm going to be teachable. I am going to be a person that shows the ability to learn. And as a result, I am going to figure this out. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to keep trying until, bam, all of a sudden one day I go, that's how it works. If I do it like this, I can get better. And, this is something we've talked about a little bit in the past, Chris, is like, if you want to be excellent at something, first you have to be willing to suck.
Yeah.
And this is another thing that has hit me again. The gym is one of those places that
taught you a lot of lessons, hasn't it?
I have learned the value of sucking. I've and so I've switched trainers at the gym here recently because the trainer that I had moved to Florida, and so I'm going to a different trainer again, which is great. He's good, but as when you get a new trainer, they have a new style, a new way of doing things, so they bring about different things for you to work on. And balance has always been one of the things that I'm not terribly good at. I've always struggled with getting good balance on things. And Kyle, my last trainer, made me do things all the time, help with balance. I mean, he was making me, and I was getting a lot better, but I hadn't done reverse lunges like in a while with like you put a bar on your back and you do a reverse lunge. So I had not done those in a while. And you get a new trainer, they're bringing out all new exercises again. And I was struggling mightily with my balance on doing the reverse lunges. And it was just embarrassing. And I was so frustrated with myself because I'm like, come on, man. Like, I sucked.
Can't be this hard, right?
Right. I fully admit I sucked. And the way our setup is that, I work out 3 times a week and I do 2 with the trainer and 1 independently, just on my own. But I have a plan. I know what I need to do. Well, yesterday I was doing my independent workout. I was in for doing it on my own. And in the rotation, it was time to do the reverse lunges again. And he had taken pity on me the last time and said, all right, we'll do it this way instead. Because clearly, you're sucking pretty bad over here. So we're like, okay. And this time I'm like, okay, it's just me. I'm going back to the way that we tried to do it the first time. And I am going to do all these reverse lunges, no matter how long it takes and no matter how stupid I look and how pathetic I am at this. Because I said, the only way I'm ever going to get better at this is if I do it.
Yeah.
And if I stink at it royally, and every time I'm like, okay, I need to put my foot more over here and not here. Okay, I need to make my step back about this far. And I'm like trying to watch myself and like, okay, that one was terrible. Okay, don't do that. And then you learn. Like, I almost fell over that time.
Okay. Yourself.
Yeah, like, okay, that one was almost a crash. So no, that is not what you want to do. And so, but I kept learning little things like, okay, my foot was too wide that time. So yeah, I lost my balance. Okay, no, it needs to be more straight. Okay. But you learn all these little things. And the same thing goes for when you're doing like your sales presentation or you're doing your other things. You have to learn like, okay, what didn't work?
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you're going to get there is if you do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be teachable. You have to be coachable. And so many times you need to have a coach. Mm-hmm. You need to have somebody working with you who can sit there and say, okay, here's where it went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know what it needs to be. They know what a good repetition looks like.
Right.
And so like for me, like having that trainer stand next to me, say, okay, no. Don't put your foot there. Put your foot here.
Yeah.
Okay, do it like this. Keep your back, your back needs to be more straight, or you need it. Okay. And they see it because they're watching you and they're watching you screw it up royally. And the same thing comes for your business building efforts, is that you just have to look at it and go, okay, it's not that I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have the right technique yet. But I am teachable. I am coachable. And I can learn it. Mm-hmm. And I know for me, when I first started my business building journey, the one thing that I was horrible at was sales. Hated it, every last bit of it. But being around all these marketers, being around all these people, I realized they're kind of following a pattern, aren't they? Mm-hmm. And I started to see some of that pattern. And I started to notice, this isn't that I can't do it. I just don't know the right way to do it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't learned the strategies and the techniques that they've learned. And so when I started paying attention to it, I started going, I bet I could do this. I bet if I followed their pattern and I learned the way that they're doing things. And so I would sit there and I would watch somebody sell somebody and I would just take notes. I wouldn't take notes on, I would take notes on why did they say this?
Right.
Why did he say that then? And then he said something like this. Why did he do that? And I started asking that why question over and over again. And I started to learn, he's just educating the prospect. Mm-hmm. And this is so much of what you're doing. I mean, Todd Brown used to always say that getting a customer is like 80 to 85% marketing and about 15 to 20% sales. And he goes, sales is actually just transactional. He goes, everybody thinks sales is the twisting of the arm, getting people to say yes to. No, sales should just really be, okay, here's where you sign. Here's where you put your credit card in.
Right.
That should be all that sales is, because your the educational process that happened in your marketing was so good and so convincing and so strong that the person is going, holy smokes, that's what I've been doing wrong the whole time. That's why I'm not getting a result. And they have this epiphany moment where they go, wow, I've been doing it wrong the whole time. And I see clearly that if I did it the way you're describing, that I could be successful. I believe that. I fully believe that I could be successful that way. So the only question is, well, how much do you charge? Right? I mean,
how can I get started? Where can I begin?
Right. And so how much is this? How much do you charge to work with you? Because I've had those conversations with people where I was talking to somebody and I've had literally, people ask me to describe what I was doing and what I was working on, how the program is built. And I literally had people just say, okay, David, stop. Like, okay. How much is it? I'm like, they had been convinced.
Right.
They didn't need me to convince. They already had the epiphany moment. It came very quickly for them, and then they just want to know, how do I sign up?
Yeah.
And how do I get this started? And how I get this going? And that was really, that's where your education is. So when you think about it, like, how do I become a good salesperson? Well, you need to learn how to become a good teacher.
Well, and I think, and I was going to highlight this, right? Don't you think that the mistakes that you mentioned towards the beginning of this was too many people want to skip that educational piece and go right for the sale? And sometimes it's out of desperation, like I've got to make money now. Sometimes it's plain ignorance; they just don't understand the process. Sometimes they just don't. It's laziness, honestly, where they don't want to do the marketing education piece to build it up. I also think it's interesting when you talk about marketing as education. A lot of the folks we talk to that are our DLG members or others that we interact with is, I think we have a lot of people who are teachers out there. But I think to your point, it's how do you package that teaching then becomes the question. It's not that it's like lean into the teaching component, but you have to do it in a strategic way, like you're saying.
Correct.
Or else a lot of people, and this is what I see, and I've seen this in myself, still do a lot of times where I'm like, okay, I can really go down that rabbit trail, right, and over teach, so to speak, or do it in ways that aren't productive for the marketing goal. So do you see that? I mean, it seems like people maybe are closer than they think a lot of times to being able to do this.
I would agree 100%. It's all about having the right strategy. It's not that people are bad teachers. It's not that people are, incapable. They don't have the right strategy as to how to teach. It's not that you can or cannot teach. It's like, how are you teaching? Mm-hmm. And you have to understand there are certain lies, so to speak, that people tend to believe. And we can do 3 common ones right now, like that these are ones that you are almost always going to run into. One is, I don't have the money. Mm-hmm. I mean, how often do you hear that one? Like the finance problem. Okay. And so then what you have to do is, so what is what they're viewing this is it's an expense.
Right.
So instead of them focusing in on the expense, we have to help them see is like, what's going to be the return on your investment?
Right.
Okay, yeah, maybe it's this much money for you to do this, but what are you going to get out of it? Mm-hmm. Because if you don't do it, you're going to stay exactly where you are, right? You're nothing's going to change. And it's like the lady you were talking about a few minutes ago. Like, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to do anything different. Well, 6 months later, how's it going? I'm in the same spot.
Right.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
If you won't invest in something to make things different in your life, things will stay the same.
Yeah.
And so when you hear somebody with the objection that, hey, I don't have the money or I can't afford this, then you have to focus on the return on the investment. And what is help them see the vision of how their life is going to be different. Because here's the reality is, if you don't have the money today and you don't make any changes tomorrow, you're not going to have any money either. The day after that, you're not going to have any money either. Mm-hmm. The only way you're going to get some money is if you make some changes.
Yeah.
The only way this story changes for you is if you make some changes and you do some things differently, because the actions that you've taken leading up to this point have led you to the point where you are now.
Yeah.
You are the product of your current behavior, of your current actions. So if you want a different future, if you want a better future for your life, if you want a different outcome, you're going to have to do some things differently. Mm-hmm. And part of this, to be able to get there, is you need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in things that are going to help you get a better result.
Right.
When you do that, all of a sudden your life is going to change. And so you need to get them to focus not on the expense of what it costs, because look, none of us should be working for free. That's just, if you're working for free, you're not valuing yourself, and the customer's not going to value what you do either.
Right.
You have to have something on that says this is what the fee is and this is what it is. Make it reasonable, but make it solid enough that you get paid for your contribution and for your work, because your work has value. So you need to help them see the vision of a new life. You need to help them see the vision of how much life can improve. It's like driving with bad brakes on your car. Well, I don't have the money to fix them. Well, okay.
That's going to end badly one way or the other, right?
And this is going to end badly. You can either spend the money now, or you can spend the money fixing your car when it ends up in the ditch.
Right.
And we know that's an obvious one, but we also have to look at this in terms of like ourselves. If I don't fix my attitudes, if I don't fix my behavior, I'm going to stay in the same miserable spot that I've always been, right? I'm going to stay in the same bad place with the same bad results and getting the same and being unhappy with my life. And eventually I'll end up in a ditch because I'm so unhappy.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing as having bad breaks. If you have something in your life that isn't right, the only way that's going to change, the only way you're going to get a better life is if you take steps to change it.
Yeah.
To fix it and to heal the things that need to be healed. Another one is, I don't have what it takes. Like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think I could do it. I know that other people have done it, but I don't know that I can do it. Okay. And this is where you have to show them the way that you can educate them is to show them how you simplified the process for them. Or you've created something that's going to support them all the way. So you need to help them understand that, hey, I understand, but we've simplified the process. We've created a step-by-step guide. We are going to coach you and support you all along the way. I'm going to be right beside you every step of the journey. We're going to help you the whole time. So you're not alone. And then give them an example of someone who was even in a worse situation that they were, and they did it.
Yeah.
If you give them an example of somebody who's in less skilled, less advantageous position that they are, and they still succeeded, well, then they're going to go, well, shoot, the person who was an immigrant who had 13 cents in their pocket, who had no connections, no friends, and started this business and grew it to millions of dollars, they did it. I guess I don't really have an excuse, do I?
It kind of goes away, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And then the last one I just want to hit is this isn't the right time. I'll do it later. Okay, well, how long are you willing to stay in the same spot? Because at the end of the day, you've already told me you're unhappy.
Yeah.
And it's not my life. If you want to stay miserable, it's not going to ruin my life. If you want to stay over here unhappy, if you want to stay over here unsuccessful, if you want to stay over here in a place where your life is not what you want it to be, that's the only person you're hurting is you.
Yeah.
So how long do you want to sit there? At the end of the day, it's, you're going to hurt me less by not, it hurts me a lot less to not get a sale than it is going to hurt you to stay stuck where you are and unhappy and miserable with your life.
Right.
So why don't you let me help you? Why do you want to keep suffering? Why don't you let me help you? Why don't you let me help you get where you want to go in life? And let's do this thing. And let's get you in a better place. Let's get you a better quality of life. Let's get you happy. Let's get you doing the thing you want to do. Let's stop staying stuck. Let's stop sitting in this little pit of misery, and let's do something about it. Let's make it better. And so these are things that you have to understand. Is like, you hear all these excuses, you hear all these objections, and it's part of sales. But you have to learn how to, educate them on all this. Again, in me saying those things, it's like, I don't feel like I'm being manipulative. I'm just trying to help the person, right? I'm just trying to get them to where they said they want to go. I'm here and I want to get to there and I can't figure it out. Well, then let us help you. Let us help you get there. Let us help you achieve this thing, because we can show you the way. And, so.
Well, I think that what you brought up before, and I've heard another local entrepreneur who started like 10 or 12 businesses now that I learned about later. He said, that's where he started. Was he grew up poor. He didn't have great examples around him. He didn't have any entrepreneurial examples around him. but he started looking around saying, well, if somebody else over there could do that, why can't I do that? Right. And that was kind of his attitude. And because of that attitude, he was encouraging some other young professionals he was speaking to at an event I saw him at. And he said, and when you have those doubts, right? Like, how, can I do that? He's like, well, has somebody else done that? Has somebody else done something like that? Well, then yes, it's possible. Right. And so to your point, we get so trapped in our own head and we think, we degrade ourselves, or we think it's me, right? To your point, like trying to help people out of those pits of misery, you said, I think that is true, right? There's so many people I think that want so much more or better and different in their life, and whatever topic it is, whether it be business or whether it be health, whether it be, whatever. um it is truly, the opportunity of entrepreneurs to help people have a better experience in this life. But to your point, we've got to get better at this whole thing of
Right.
educating, helping people realize that we have solutions for them. And I think, folks, if you take anything away, I would encourage you to be encouraged, because what David's brought to us is the fact that all these things are possible. It's just a skill deficiency,
Right.
or experience deficiency that we have. So it's not that you're incapable, it's that you aren't capable yet. And I think, I heard, I read in a book years ago, I think it was John Maxwell, but he said, changing your just one question, like adding one word to a question. He said, instead of saying can I, add how. So how can I? Because when we ask ourselves, well, can I do that? Can I build that business? Can I achieve this goal? It's easy. That's a yes or no.
Right.
And if we're in a bad mental space, the answer is 9 times out of 10 going to be no.
Right.
But when you say, how can I, then you have to start being on the solution side, and you start brainstorming. Well, maybe I can try this, or maybe I can try that. Maybe I do this or whatever. So I think a lot of this today, once again, is that mental shift we need to make as entrepreneurs of, how, because no matter what level you get to, there's always another level we can go to.
Right.
But it's going to take growth, right, David?
Agreed. And the ceiling for almost all of us is the person you stare at in the mirror every day.
Yeah.
That's your ceiling almost every day. So how can you raise that ceiling?
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is, I want you to walk away from this encouraged, because sales is a skill that anyone can learn. So many people walk out and say, oh, I'm not a salesperson, I can't sell. That's not true. You just haven't learned how to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever convinced somebody to do something?
Well, that's what I was going to say. We've actually been good at sales in some way, even if it's telling somebody you need to go to that restaurant.
Right.
Like that's one of the easiest examples.
You sold them on the idea of going to the restaurant.
Yeah, something that you've loved and enjoyed.
Right. You have been selling your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And what you have to understand is, first of all, you got to fully believe that what you're doing is the answer and is the right thing for people. And then you just got to show them that you're here to help them and help them get a better life. Yeah. And show them how it's possible and how great their life can be if they do this. And then it becomes this positive experience. Right. Sales is not a bad thing. Right. But it can be done in a bad way. Right. So learn how to do it in a good way. Yeah. Your customers will love you. You're going to make a lot more sales. You're going to feel much better about yourself because you're not being manipulative. You're not being, unethical at all. Right. You're just putting this out there to help people, to make a huge difference in their lives, take them from a bad place to a good place. And, that's when you learn that, again, so much of like sales is like, we believe lies about selling, right? This is the same thing. Like, do you want to can I be a good salesperson? If you answer that question, no, I know you're believing a lie. Because I know you can be a good salesperson. You're just believing a lie that says I can't do it. Well, stop believing that lie.
And I think if we just, and even just kind of in wrapping up to define, marketing is educational, right? Helping people understand what their problems are and how you can help them. And sales is really that help the functional way, right, of getting them started, right, and truly serving them the way that you can with your coaching, your course, your services, workshops, whatever it may be. I think that if we can, I think a lot of this, David, for talking about beliefs, right, is reframing marketing and sales in a positive light
Right.
versus what, like you said, we've maybe adopted unconsciously, even consciously sometimes, based on experiences that we've had. So, folks, if you need help with any of this, that's what Design Launch Grow program is all about. Is having guides, having resources, having people around you to help you see what you don't see and overcome a lot of beliefs that you're struggling with that's maybe holding you back from your next level of success. Maybe it's getting started. Maybe it's I've gotten stuck because I've reached a plateau and I don't know where to go from here. Maybe it's I need to try a new method of selling, of really marketing my program. Whatever it may be, we have roadmaps for course creators, for coaches, for trainers that can help you take those steps. And many times, I know, David, as we even developed those roadmaps, it was what are the pieces that people skip over, right, or don't even know they should have covered. And when we started to lay that out, it became consistent in any of these three lanes that we focus on, but how they look for each type of business model is going to be a little different, but they're still consistent. So we put those together for you guys. And so check out designlaunchgrow.com. We'd love to help you. Weekly coaching calls, a supportive community of people that are going on this journey with you in their own rights, and then also tons of resources of videos and downloadable PDF guides and things in our resource vault. So check out Design Launch Grow, and we'd love to help you go to that next level today and make the next year an amazing year as you really look ahead at where can I go from where I am to where I want to be in these next several months. So take care, and we'll see you soon.